It's official, the storm has broken. Congress has opened an investigation into the Gates Foundation, following the money trail that winds through global health, corporate power, and the push for total control. For years, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been the lone voice warning about Gates' hidden agenda. And now, his decades-long fight is paying off. He's finally won the president's ear, and the skies themselves are on the agenda. Chemtrails, weather control, geoengineering, once dismissed as conspiracy theories, are now central to the probe. RFK says the case is bulletproof. Inside the Gates Foundation, panic has set in. Accounts frozen, allies silent. And Gates? He's running out of time, running out of friends, and running out of places to hide. Welcome to the reckoning he never thought would come. Today's video is brought to you by VP.net, the only VPN I trust to protect my privacy from the deep state. VP.net is built to 100% block deep state actors from spying on you. Their military-grade hardware is impenetrable. Signing up to their service also really helps to keep my show on the air. Please visit vp.net/TPV to find out more. Last week, we broke the story that changed everything. RFK Jr. finally convinced President Trump that chemtrails are not a kooky conspiracy theory. They're a coordinated assault on humanity itself. Independent lab tests have confirmed it. The air we breathe is not what it used to be. The chemical fingerprints are undeniable, and we're all paying the price. Behind the scenes, RFK's Chemtrails task force has been tracing the money, and every trail leads to the same place, the Gates Foundation, and its vast tax-exempt empire. Now, Congress has officially opened an investigation, accusing the Gates Foundation of aiding foreign enemies and undermining America from within.
A new report finds the Gates Foundation funded millions to organizations linked to the Chinese military and government.
To have this chance to meet. And we've always had great conversations, and we'll have a lot of important topics to discuss today.
In 2023, Bill Gates' charity allocated approximately $11.7 million to Chinese government entities and over $2 million to a company connected to the Chinese military.
RFK says the evidence is overwhelming and leads straight to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. For years, the foundation has waged a quiet war against the American people, and now the walls are closing in. According to RFK, they finally have enough to put Bill Gates behind bars. And with Trump's approval, this probe is only the beginning. And now Gates is scrambling, desperate to rewrite history and cover his tracks. He's already walked back his decades-long climate crusade, admitting he was wrong all along. Watch the globalist kingpin backtrack, the mask slipping as he finally realizes his freedom is now on the line. In 2018, he was untouchable, plotting his grand plandemic and dreaming of a technocratic future. But in 2025, he's a ghost of his former self, a man cornered, desperate and afraid.
Was how great a problem bovine flatulence is.
Nobody knows how to get rid of
No one knows how to get cows to stop farting.
exactly our burping. And so there is artificial meat, but that's at a very early stage. If it was a 50% reduction, then you could ignore, okay, leave the cows alone. But because we're trying to avoid the temperature continuing to go up, you do need to go to zero.
Not just everything should be solely for climate. Wasn't the goal here to improve human lives? Climate is super important, but has to be considered in terms of overall human welfare.
President Trump called the admission courageous, but courage won't save Gates this time. The hits are coming fast, and there's no escaping what's next. The man who tried to own the weather, filing patents on hurricanes while disasters multiplied, now finds himself facing the consequences.
When you hear the name Bill Gates, you probably think Microsoft founder, but now the billionaire may be known as the hurricane tamer. Gates is listed as one of 13 inventors on a patent filed for hurricane prevention methods. Gates and his team plan to use a fleet of ships to cool warm surface water by mixing it with colder water from greater depths. They hope this will sap energy from growing storms, leading to weaker, less devastating hurricanes.
Except, like everything Gates touches, the hurricanes only grow stronger, more violent, more destructive. It's almost as if every word out of his mouth is a calculated lie. The truth is, Bill Gates has always been driven by a eugenic vision, a hunger for godlike control over humanity itself. RFK Jr. warned us years ago, long before the pandemic tore away the mask and revealed who Gates really is.
Is Bill Gates motivated by eugenics? Given that eugenics went underground over half a century ago, we are unlikely ever to unearth a frank admission along those lines from Gates himself. After all, there are no longer any card-carrying members of the American Eugenics Society. The society was rebranded in the 1970s when, as the society's founder noted, it became evident that changes of eugenic nature would be made for reasons other than eugenics, and that tying a eugenic label on them would more often hinder than help their adoption. But there was an American Eugenics Society in the 1920s, and it just so happened to boast a William H. Gates on its member roster. But perhaps that is just a coincidence. And there was an American Eugenics Society in the 1960s, when William H. Gates II was preceded as head of Planned Parenthood by Alan Guttmacher, who simultaneously served as the director of the American Eugenics Society. And perhaps it was coincidence that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation organized their London Summit on Family Planning, at which the Gates recommitted themselves to funding population control in the Third World, in July 2012, on the anniversary of the first International Eugenics Congress, held in London exactly 100 years prior.
And now, RFK says he's got what he needs to finally do what he's promised for years: arrest Bill Gates. This isn't about policy, it's about crimes against humanity. And for the first time, he's got President Trump on side. Things are about to get very crazy very fast. We've got the inside scoop after this important word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is ReliableMedicines.com. The price of medicine in America has skyrocketed in recent years, while the real cause for many illnesses and diseases continues to be suppressed. That's why I've partnered with ReliableMedicines.com. All of their FDA-approved medicines are the cheapest you'll find anywhere. They deliver effective medicines straight to your door, such as ivermectin, zopiclone, hydroxychloroquine, fenbendazole, and painosoma, to name just a few. Listen to this testimony of Joe Tippins, a cancer survivor, thanks to the type of medicines found at ReliableMedicines.com.
2 years ago, Joe Tippins says he was told to go home, call hospice, and say his goodbyes. The doctors were unanimous. He was going to die of small cell lung cancer.
Once that kind of cancer goes that far afield, the odds of survival are less than 1%, and the median life expectancy is 3 months.
Tippins says he got a tip, not from a pharmacist, but a veterinarian. And in his desperation, he turned from people medicine to dog medicine. Specifically, fenbendazole.
My insurance company spent $1.2 million on me with traditional means before I switched to a $5 a week medicine that actually saved me.
Get 15% off by using coupon code RM15 at the checkouts. Please click the link below this video or call 256-664-4170 to take advantage of this fantastic offer. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has never hidden his mission: to take down the global health elites. Long before stepping into government, he pulled back the curtain on Anthony Fauci with his explosive bestseller, The Real Anthony Fauci, a book that exposed decades of corruption, pharmaceutical collusion, and crimes against the public. It sold millions, and Fauci never sued. That silence spoke volumes. But RFK didn't stop there. During his presidential campaign, he made it clear his sights were set on Mr. Eugenics himself, Bill Gates. He vowed to bring Gates to trial in the US, exposing the ties between Gates-funded programs and the broader globalist agenda.
There was something else, another article about Bill Gates that came out today that said he's just been indicted. been indicted in the Netherlands for lying to the public about the COVID vaccine. And he's going to have to go to trial. You think that he wants to go to trial here in the United States of America? You think maybe that's one of the reasons he chose to give $50 million to Kamala Harris?
Now, as head of the Chemtrails task force, RFK says he's got the evidence to move from words to action and arrest Bill Gates for crimes not just against America, but against humanity. RFK understands it's time to move, and fast, because Gates and his cronies have gained control of the weather and they're using it for the most nefarious purposes imaginable. Natural disasters are being directed and controlled to destroy targeted locations, with a view to turning them into globalist-approved 15-minute smart cities.
An interesting thing is geoengineers are talking about how, if these programs were to be initiated, which they have been, how they will have to utilize and implement weather control and determine where it rains, when it rains, and who specifically gets rain.
We're already beginning to see the formation of the center of circulation. My name is Scott Stevens. I studied meteorology at the University of Kansas, and that was my first TV job was on the air was in Topeka, and I worked in Omaha and Tulsa, Albany, New York, and then out into eastern Idaho in the Pocatello, Idaho Falls market for the last 10 years of my 20-year career doing weather. It wasn't until about 2005 when I got deep into the weather modification aspect of this story of geoengineering. One of the parts of the program that is very important that plays into the chemtrails is the precision of these actions in the atmosphere. These chemtrails are absolutely required, so they introduce the right energy at the right location for the right length of time. These trails are wires in the sky.
The combined technologies like HARP and the chemtrails were designed to work together as weather weapons.
HARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, it is filled with phased array antennas. They steer microwaves into the ionosphere where they will activate all of the ions up there.
They can use excitation waves that actually affect the metallic particles. So we've ionized the air column. They can heat it, they can cool it. HARP has directional antennas, and they can focus their antennas on where they want to move the jet stream, and they can hit the jet stream, and they create an artificial high.
If you accentuate the high, if you amplify a little bit, it's like building a mound of dirt, and you have a little creek or a little stream of water coming. You build the mound of dirt, that water's not going to go through it. So you build the mound, and then that's going to impact storms that are inbound. And so it's very easy to add those particulates of aluminum, barium, and whatever else they want to put in there. And as you add heat to that, those particulates then radiate the heat into the atmosphere, and it warms. And what does a warming atmosphere do? Boom, it expands. We see more intense droughts. We see rainfall rates of 1 to 2.25 inches an hour, and sometimes even rainfall, 1.25 inches a minute. It's just unheard of. And so when you get the atmosphere capable of conducting this kind of electricity, plus the engineers, you're going to end up with weather that is extreme, and that's putting it kindly.
When they move the jet stream, it then pushes up into the polar vortex. The polar vortex really can only move when there's something impacting it, like HARP.
When aerosols, heavy metals, whatever type of aerosol it is, when they're introduced into the atmosphere, the water molecules will attach on to these aerosols or metal particulate. So instead of falling naturally, they drift. So we get droughts in certain areas, floods in other areas, exactly what we're seeing right now.
There has been precious little water in southern and eastern Africa where El Niño is scorching the earth.
In a country like Yemen, we're talking about 100 cubic meters per year.
The rainfall has been delayed to an extent that people haven't been able to plant the crops that they need to survive.
If you want to destabilize a nation, you can create a drought. And within a couple of months, you're going to have riots. You're going to have destabilization without even firing a weapon.
It's an invisible weapon. It is a weapon you can blame on anything. It is something more powerful even than the nuclear war.
You can blame this technology on God You can blame it on nature, get away with a whole bunch.
Think if we had the ability to steer hurricanes, and the hurricane was going to slam into New Orleans, and let's say you could steer it so it would hit Mississippi instead. And let's say you're going to, instead of killing 1,800 people in New Orleans, you would kill 100 people in Mississippi. And if you do that knowingly, are you murdering those 100 people? And there's all kinds of equity issues there.
Moving the hurricane off of the coast of Florida was done by the Signal Corps, and the U.S. Air Force was flying over it. They thought it was heading out into the Atlantic, and so they dumped dry ice into it. It turned into the coast very quickly. It made a detour and pretty much wiped out Savannah, Georgia.
For those still in denial, who think the global elite could not be this bold, this calculated, it's time to brush up on your history. These tactics aren't new. From JFK to the covert weather warfare of Operation Popeye, to the denials of the Nixon era, the playbook hasn't changed. The global elites are waging war on humanity itself, poisoning the air, the water, and the food supply. And now, a new battlefield has emerged. The new front is the internet, where digital ID, surveillance, and control will build a digital cage and create a new kind of slavery. Make no mistake, you're under attack. The same organisations writing the digital ID laws, the same bureaucrats pushing centralised data systems, the same trust and safety enforcers monitoring every click you make. They've now infiltrated the last refuge of online privacy, the VPN industry. Take Proton, for example, the so-called champion of privacy. The VPN trusted by journalists, whistleblowers, and dissidents around the world. What they don't tell you is that Proton has quietly taken millions in funding from European Union agencies. And here's the part they really hope you never notice. Buried in the fine print, at the bottom of their page, the World Economic Forum is listed as an undisclosed donor. If you've been trusting Proton with your privacy, that should send chills down your spine. Investors like the EU and WEF demand their pound of flesh. And the world's leading VPNs are only too willing to hand it over. This is where we have to draw the line, between the old guard that asks you to trust them, and the new generation that lets you verify it. Legacy VPNs say no logs, and they promise they won't track you, but they can. They even admit it in the fine print. And in the end, you're taking their word for it. The new generation, like VP.net, doesn't run on trust, it runs on proof, built on cryptographic transparency. VP.net doesn't just claim you're safe, it proves that you can't be watched, tracked, or traced. No blind faith, no middlemen, no globalist investors demanding loyalty, just mathematical certainty. In 2025, the stakes are far too high to take anybody's word for it, especially from this crowd. If you're digging into suppressed topics or doing real independent research, promises are not enough. You need verified privacy, proof that you're truly invisible. Go to vp.net/TPV and see for yourself. It's just $5 a month, a small price to pay for real verified privacy in an age of total surveillance. Now, with Israel buying up the VPN market and hiring veterans of Mossad's most notorious cyber espionage units, this isn't just a privacy issue, it's a national security issue. Did you know that the NSA hands over raw signals intelligence to Israel, which includes Americans' unredacted personal details? And did you know that Google and Amazon are secretly working with Israel to use hidden codes that let Israel dodge subpoenas and do what the hell it wants with your data? Did you know that former Mossad chief Yossi Cohen has admitted that Israel have infiltrated the cell phones and devices of millions of people in the US?
You mean booby-trapped equipment?
Not only booby-trapped.
And spying?
Manipulated equipment. All right?
In which countries are you talking about?
All the countries that you can imagine.
We are living in unprecedented times, a digital battlefield disguised as convenience. And if you're not protecting yourself online, you're walking willingly into a cage of your own making. That's why we're urging everyone watching this video to switch to vp.net, the world's first trustless VPN. It's engineered so that even if somebody wanted to spy on you, they couldn't. No backdoors, no data trails, no compromises. It's built inside a secure enclave, uses military-grade encryption, and stores zero data. Yes, really, zero zilch nada. And here's the best part. It's 100% American-owned. No Mossad backdoors, no feds rifling through your DMs, no Israelis siphoning your most private information, no blackmail. Sign up today at vp.net/TPV, just $5 a month, and you can finally stop asking, who's monitoring me? Because the answer is they were, but with VP.net, not anymore.